Welcome back here. Another down and back with CornDoug. We got another show. We're going to tick off another continent here. We've already had a couple. We've had Europe. We've had North America. We're going down under, as you can see, with Ben and Daniel here. But first off, a couple things. Making sure that you're going to be checking out octanecornhole.com to get all your bags, your gear, anything you need using that CornDoug discount code, getting 10% off. And then, as always, when you're done with that, go over to myearfun.com, use discount code CornDoug there again. Another 20% off all your earbuds, your Bluetooth speakers, anything you need. And then, as always, check out your boards with JC Cornhole. Talk to Jamie. And like I say every week, he may charge you more if you mention my name. I'm not sure. It depends on his mood that day. Whatever he wants to do, it's up to Jamie. But just check him out with JC Cornhole. Does great boards. So, without further ado, welcome Ben and Daniel.
Well, thanks very much, Doug. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Doug.
Well, this like I said, this is kind of been like a show that I've wanted to do for a while because it's like we kind of talked off air a bit here. I've wanted to do like the other guys can do their stuff wherever they're from, but let cornhole's worldwide. Let's spread it around. We've already been to Sweden, Germany, let's the UK. Let's get the Aussies from down under because Daniel, we got the chance to be in a virtual tournament. I think we probably both ended up the same way watching at the end, but it was kind of a fun
out in straight sets. I know I was, but I don't know about you.
Well, yeah, I threw that. I bring it up all the time just because I sucker for punishment, but I threw that 29, so it's something I got to live with.
Yeah, poor Andrew Clark. We got teamed up as a pro team in that second invitational, and he was definitely carrying a lot of the load for that tournament. I think I threw a 30-something in one of those rounds. So I was very apologetic to Andrew, but no, that was great fun, and I really enjoyed that virtual tournament.
Yeah, so I've got some other ACL kind of stuff to talk about a little later on because I know that you've got another connection that we talked about to the ACL. But so first off, cornhole in Australia. How did you guys get into it? Yeah,
I mean, it originally started with myself. I mean, it was probably, and my friends joke about this, telling me just how long it took to get things off the ground. But back in maybe 2015, 2016, went over to the States to visit my brother who lives in Illinois. He married a country girl over there, and so he's living over there. And long story short, we prior to the lead up to the wedding, we went and saw a Milwaukee Brewers game, and we took the trip out there. And obviously, tailgating is really massive in the States. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but saw all the vans and trucks set up with this weird game that people throwing beanbags all over the place, and that was my first introduction to the game of cornhole. Never even knew it existed prior to that, but as someone who is quite competitive, as Ben will know, we're high school buddies growing up, so he knows all too well how serious I take sometimes very simple games. But yeah, I was hooked on the game. It was great fun. We spent hours, just drinking beers, playing cornhole there. And, I actually bought like a cheap set of Walmart boards, lugged that back on the plane back to Australia and was throwing those around, and sort of did a bit more research and was trying to find, a tournament board. There was just nothing around. So I ended up, going online and found a few blogs and threads about building tournament boards and created my own. Was telling Ben and a few of my mates, we got involved, started playing, and that's kind of where my love for the game started to grow. Was I found this amazing game and just know it just didn't exist in Australia. So I thought, all right, well, I'm going to be the one to start running it. And Ben was obviously loving the game as much as I was, and yeah, that's kind of how the Australian Cornhole Association started.
Yeah, I still remember when you brought that first board back, Dan, all the kind of backyard games we used to have. Doug, in Australia, we're absolutely sports mad, the same as you are over there. We love kind of being outdoors, having a barbecue, having a few beers. So when there was a game that can complement that, where you can have, you know, a day in the sun, having a beer and having a throw, we were all hooked, you know, immediately. Kind of over the years here in Australia, you see people playing it every now and then. You might spot someone in a park playing it, or you'll go to a wedding and it will be set up. But besides that, there are no kind of formal competitions or anything like that happening over here. So, you know, when there's the massive tournaments over in the States or in Canada or kind of all around the world, we're very, very jealous. And that's kind of what we want to do. We want to get it to that level of competition here in Australia as well.
Yeah. So Daniel, my first experience with cornhole, like I've said on the show many times, was tailgating at a NASCAR race. Loved it, except I got hooked on moonshine that same weekend. So then my question to you, Ben, is your thoughts, because I know what all my friends were like when Daniel comes home and says, "I got this game that we've got to play. It's called cornhole." What was your first thought when he's like, "Let's play cornhole"? I know my friends were like, "What?"
Well, I'm already thinking corn. I'm thinking we're going to be in the kitchen. There's going to be some weird game where you have to maybe eat corn as fast as you can, something bizarre like that. But then when I actually saw the boards and the bags, to begin with, I was underwhelmed. I was like, this is going to be boring. Like, it's just the most simple, basic equipment ever. So we set it up, had a few throws, and then it's only when he taught me the scoring and we played a few games, it just has that real addictive element. And I guess the other part as well is kind of anyone can play. That's kind of my favorite part about the game, is that kind of inclusivity there, that you could be 70 years old or 10 years old, and you can still kind of have a throw. Yes, I was very glad that it wasn't eating corn. It was kind of having some fun in the backyard.
Well, exactly, and then like you say, the addicting part is like you just need to have someone throw a bag one time.
Yeah,
and you know, to quote Screech and Meacham on this here from down south here, is like just one time you throw the bag and you're addicted.
100%. Or as soon as you land one through the middle, you land an airmail that you didn't expect to land. That's a pretty good feeling as well. Although I'm not at Daniel's level, I wouldn't be competing in online tournaments. I'm still kind of honing my skills and learning a proper technique.
Yeah, it was like.
So you guys said.
I was just going to say, Doug, like at the beginning, just getting these guys to, like, you know, we call it, our mates call it the pancake throw, like just getting them to throw a flat bag. It's like they didn't want a bar of it at the beginning, but I'm slowly but surely, you know, explaining to them, like, you know, their crazy techniques that they're using aren't going to work for long. So
I was holding it as a claw. I used to hold it as a claw like that and flip it backwards. But it was just awful. And then I'd burst Daniel, and he's just throwing these beautiful, you know, swirling pancake shots. And so, yeah, I'm on board now. I'm learning the pancake.
Well, and that's the thing, is that, you know, when people first see the game, they're thinking, oh, this is going to be easy, but then it's a lot more technical than what you actually think.
Without a doubt, yeah, it really is. And how long have you been playing, Doug? And kind of where did you first find the game?
Well, like I said, it was at a NASCAR race in 2010. With I got in, like I said, I got introduced to cornhole and moonshine the same night, and I've been.
The game's only gone up from there, right?
But,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the ability to play when your face is numb is from the moonshine is that was the trick. But yeah, so I've been almost 11 years playing the game, and probably still at the same bottom level, I think, at times from when I started. But now talking about starting, you guys, you know, now start talking about starting your leagues up, and you, how's that going?
Yeah, so I mean, for a lot of the time, it was like, all right, yeah, let's get some, you know, high quality boards and high quality bags, and get that mastered. And that in itself, you know, took a lot of tinkering. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to that sort of thing, and I like to, you know, play with the best and use the best. So, you know, there was a few years of that for sure, and a lot of pieces of scrap wood now in the garage. But yeah, kind of reached that point where, got the bags and the boards kind of sorted. And then, I was chatting to Ben and I was like, we really want to start, creating some leagues. And I know in the States, I've seen how the director model works. And I just thought that was incredible, and joined a lot of Facebook pages where there's just league directors everywhere and all talking about how much fun they're having and how many players they're getting to show up. So, yeah, we kind of went to work very recently putting together a bit of a strategy for, I guess, recruiting directors here in Australia and, sort of selling the dream of how fun it is and the fact that, hey, if you've got no one else to play with, just start your own league and they'll come, right? So, yeah, we've been working hard. We've been, during the week, catching up with a few potential directors. So hopefully, at least for the start here in Australia, we can get some Sydney leagues going. Ben and myself very soon will start running our own in our local areas. And, hopefully it's just a matter of repeating that formula, firstly across Sydney and then out to the other cities and states as well.
Yeah. So have you? I know. Here, our big thing when we first started up here back in 2000, I think our league started up 2017, was that trying to get the people from going from it's just a backyard game that we're not playing any type of competitive. Have you had that kind of issue with trying to get people to? I don't want to say take it serious, but almost kind of like in that direction.
I think we will. I think that will be a challenge for us over here, just because it's just so unknown. So how can you invite a whole bunch of people in and say there's a brand new game you haven't played before, and in a few months' time there's going to be a league set up all over the country. So that is going to definitely be I think a challenge for us. So we're just going to be doing our best, kind of for the first part of just promoting the game as much as we can in Australia first. So constantly running kind of impromptu tournaments all over Sydney. Speaking to different venues, whether that's bars or restaurants or anyone that has space in Sydney, see if we can go and set up for a night. So I think what we really need to do first is kind of get that buy-in from people and for them to play the game once. And as we all know, you can be hooked after just playing once. And then once it's kind of almost got that brand awareness in Australia, then I think we can kind of really, start advertising a bit and saying, okay, great, we've got a league. We're going to be running over in Bondi now. And really put some energy into kind of building the community. We need to build the community first.
But what I will say to that is there's certainly some closet cornhole fans out here in Australia. I mean, I see a lot of the comments from Australians on some of the, board building Facebook pages, on the Addicted to Cornhole Facebook page. People here in Australia crying out for some, for some local tournaments and access to good equipment, right? So, and especially with ESPN, that I think, that was accessible to Australians here. And I know that gets talked about a lot. Oh, hey, I saw that game on ESPN. And I think that televised, those televised tournaments and leagues have been amazing for the game and to grow it outside of the US.
Yeah, I think where you can help too is that you did have some of your fellow countrymen that did come up here to play on ESPN. That time, because I know I got one guy who's building boards just behind me here who actually played against those guys in that game. But both those guys are local guys. But that was one where I think the Australians that did come up, and even some of our Canadian players that went down, really kind of opened the eyes to some of the American players that, there's actually people around the world that are actually getting better and kind of, I don't want to say on par with the Americans yet, but we're getting there where we can compete.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's even the, Cornhole Europe, they're having their virtual tournament going on at the moment now. So I'm keeping a close eye on that, being a fly on the wall, just to see how all that's going down. So there's no doubt as soon as this game starts to grow in some of these other countries, maybe the Americans and you Canadians will have a little bit of a tussle on your hands. So that'll be great to see, some international stars, on the big screens in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, and I think that would be great, because I know there's some people that are playing in Japan, and I've even talked to Sean in South Africa who's playing as well too. So it's great that it's kind of in that I don't want to say that area, but that kind of part of the world that it's getting kind of like a groundswell of the word is now just escaping me here, but just that the people that want to play.
Yeah, 100%. And as Ben said, it's like if you can find me a sport where I can hold a beer. I always laugh when I say Hissner playing. It just pumps me up to be able to go out and play. And any sport that you can play professionally and hold a drink in your hands, you're already on a winner. And as you may know, Australians love to drink. So if they can, avoid running, going to the gym, and still be, the top of their sport, I think you got a good thing going here, at least in Australia.
And I was actually talking with Ben off air. My first interaction with some Australians in sport was back in 2000 up here in Canada. We had an inline tournament for hockey here on inline skates, and we got to have some Australians come up and some guys from New Zealand as well too, and it was really fun to be able to interact with them, seeing them play like almost a new sport to them playing, but it was still just that interaction for them playing was just it was fun because they were there for fun, which is what if you can get them playing cornhole, that's what cornhole is as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doug, you would have played in a lot of tournaments over the years. Have you got any advice for us on kind of what makes for a good tournament? So when you turn up and you kind of you were playing in a tournament, when you leave it and you go, God, that was just so well run. Kind of, what are the elements that kind of make for that really good tournament? Because we're really keen to learn.
Well, it's just the atmosphere is the one thing. Is if especially starting out, if you got the blind draws are really kind of to really help new players come along, because if they can get partnered with a better player, and if the better player knows that when you're starting off, you're there to help the more inexperienced player, is you're going to be able to bring those people back. Because we've had some people play where they're just all they're thinking was, I have to win. Yeah. I need to win this. I need to win this $10 because I have my picture on Facebook.
There's always those people out there. There's always one.
Oh yeah, and it's just it's just helping the new people out. Don't be getting down the new people if they do make a mistake. Help them out, because that's we've had ACL pros come up here and play, and they're more than happy to help out a new person playing. So just having that blind draw where you have where you're welcoming the new players in is my big key to success. Is because if you can get them hooked and have them come out the next night or the next tournament, then you've got it made.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. So you have to nurture those players that are coming through and kind of just make it fun and accessible for everybody. And how do you go using the software? So is everybody using Scoreholio over there, or kind of what's the situation?
So it's a lot of people using Scoreholio. We've kind of do a mixture of Scoreholio at some point, and when we have our bigger tournaments, we're using the ACL software because we're an ACL league and stuff over here. But they're kind of almost the same, and that's the Scoreholio app. Really, Ben, and if you watch the show from last week, Ben is an amazing guy. He's thankfully he wasn't sitting on the beach while I was in snow here like it was the last time, but that Scoreholio app really kind of opened up a lot of stuff for tournaments, because it then allowed the people that are running the tournaments to actually play without worrying about trying to see who's up playing next or what. It just that app just lets it run, because like I said, I run Scoreholio if I'm camping with a bunch of friends. We put everyone's name in. It does it for you. It's great, and it just it really it keeps things moving along, and it's just I can't say anything bad about it.
For sure, yeah. We're running a kind of a tournament this Saturday in Centennial Park in Sydney here. So we've both downloaded the app, and Daniel set up the tournament. But all reports so far, everyone that we've sent the link to, they've managed to get in and register. And it makes a massive difference just to kind of see how many people are going to be turning up, because then we can, how many boards do we need to bring? How many bags do we need? How long is this going to take? So it's, yeah, it's really, really great software. And I don't know if any other kind of companies in Australia that are running that kind of tournament software for anything. So no, Ben and the team are really, really good. I spoke to Ben a couple of weeks ago with on their chat function with a girl named Whitney Martinez, who's an absolute gun as well. We both follow her on Instagram, and she's on TikTok and that type of thing. So it's pretty cool for both of those people to be kind of answering the chat bot on Sportholio and giving us tips, and they were really supportive and said, they're going to do what they can to help us kind of get running in Australia and help us set up. So, it seems like it's a really good business.
Yeah. So now you talk about your bags and stuff. What kind of bags are you guys sewing? Are you guys making your own bags, or because I know what it costs to get the American bags shipped just to Canada here with all the trade stuff and going on. What's it like for getting bags down to Australia?
Yeah. So that was a lot of hard work, and we're not at the stage yet where we're going to manufacture them here in Australia. But I've got a company that I'm using at the moment overseas that are basically just manufacturing them based on the specifications that I give them. So there was a lot of back and forth in terms of having the right resin fill, making sure it was the right sort of thickness and density, and we've got the dual-sided bags. So although stick and slick bags are pretty old-fashioned these days, I think over in the States, here in Australia, I mean that's
I love it.
That's a big step up from the duck cloth bags that are like this thin. So the boards, I'm building those in the garage at the moment. So we'll look for a more sustainable and I guess scalable process for that. And Ben and I are looking closely into that, behind the scenes as well. But for the time being, we've got some great pro bags that we're selling. As well as some boards that are sold out already. So, we're having some good success with those. And as I said, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I don't like to use, just any average sort of stuff. And it makes the game so much better, right? When you add a stick side to your bags, it just makes the game so much more enjoyable and adds an extra dimension to the game. So, that's been a lot of fun, and with some of the local tournaments that we're and leagues that we're going to start running, we're really going to be promoting our equipment there to give everyone an experience to use what the pros use, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think as Daniel mentioned before, there really aren't any places to buy the pro equipment in Australia, and you mentioned there, Doug, that kind of importing stuff over here just costs an absolute fortune. And the products that you can buy here are mainly from like party hire businesses. And I mean, previously I've had conversations with Daniel before I played on his boards and kind of used the best equipment. And I was like, mate, let's just order in 200 boards from China, the plywood, thin stuff, get it in, and we can just pump them out and sell them and get people to use them. But more and more times that I've played using his boards and the really high quality bags, I couldn't go back to using the cheap stuff now, just because the gameplay is just so superior. On those kind of cheaper, thinner boards, the bounce is so unpredictable. The bags are kind of difficult to throw, and it was pretty flimsy. Some of the stuff you would buy over here, you could maybe get 10 or 15 kind of uses out of it, and then bits are falling off or it's getting wet and getting damp. So we're really committed to kind of having that top quality kind of tournament ready equipment. That's kind of going to be our point of difference here in Australia, and hopefully it puts us in good stead to kind of grow the game, but grow it properly as well.
I think that's one of the other things that's fun is getting those new bag combinations is if you can, because you start off with your stick and slick bags, but then you start playing around with the different materials, and then you realize just how bad you are when you get those faster materials. But it's just one of those things you have to deal with, and it's just it's trial and error, and that's the other fun part of it, is the trial and error of what you want to throw.
I can't believe
put in a good word for us with Matt, and maybe we get some co-branded bags out here. I'll order a pallet in of some bags, maybe with a few different materials on them, just so when we're ready to go past the traditional stick and slick, we can have a few different choices for some of the players here.
Exactly. I think Matt kind of teases me every once in a while. He's like, "We're getting some new material coming in, but we'll." He never lets me play with it right away. It's always he's getting the other guys that are better to actually see what they like. But
you got to see where he stocks it all and go find them.
I can't believe all of the different patterns and kind of images on the bags over in the States. What's your kind of favorite bag that you've got, Doug? Have you got some kind of cool markings or drawings or paintings on yours?
I kind of go with I keep the down and back logo on my bag. So and that's I don't want to say the best thing about having the show sponsored by a bag company or even having them. Matt's actually, I think Matt's might still be physically right below me making bags right now, but just to be able to go and say, you know what, I want to try this type of bag. I want to try like an octane boosted or a nitro or one of his new kinetics, and just being able to take that off the shelf and then get on some of Jamie's boards back here and just throw bags to be able to try out new ones. It's just that's almost the fun for me, is trying to and then throw you get the different throwing styles of being either getting that high arc or just trying to get that low line drive for push or and I don't know if you guys have your own slang over there now. I know in Canada around here you're throwing it, if you throw it short of the board, it's a CornDoug, because that was my only go-to throw, was always throwing it short because I could never get it going. But it's just, it's got to the point where it doesn't matter to me anymore. I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So as I said off the top, Daniel, you've got another connection to the ACL that of someone that I think anyone who's watching, who's been to any kind of an ACL tournament, a big tournament, they know everyone does Madden time, and that is that's you've been able to friend Madden from the ACL. You know what? Honestly, I don't even know Madden's last name. I got to play with him. He was the first person I ever played with at an ACL event. I thought, because when you see him, he's just a short little guy, and I'm like, I was a bigger guy. I'm like, I can beat this guy, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I've lost 21-0 5 games to you. Like, let me actually get a point on you one time. But you've been able to friend him. So what's how is he?
Yeah, so it's a funny story, and talk about love of the game. I haven't met many people that love the game of cornhole as much as Madden. So it was a couple of years back. I had reached out. I just sent an email. I was on the ACL website, and I sent an email through to the World Cornhole Organization email address, and Todd Kazicki got back to me and mentioned that Madden it quite frequently travels between America and Australia, and that he'd be out in Australia soon. So we caught up one day just to catch up and talk about the game, and obviously how I wanted to grow the game here and what we could do to make it happen. And it was like me, Matt, and his brother-in-law. I think we were playing at like his brother-in-law's factory or warehouse. So we set up some bags there, and he'd brought in, at the time, they were brand new Game Changers, and we were just throwing bags, drinking beer in some random warehouse in Sydney. So we developed, a good relationship from there. And I haven't spoken to him in a little while. I've been meaning to reach back out to Matt, and I will do soon. But I overheard his name or overheard him speaking or commentating in one of the ACL live streams for Cornhole Mania. And he was just one of those people that I was lucky enough to meet, and that had just happened to do, have some time in Australia. And obviously from there, got talking more and more to Todd as the, national director. And that was a great connection. And hopefully, Madden, if you're listening, mate, let me know next time you're in Sydney, and we'll go throw some more bags.
Exactly. And if you are watching, I need to get you on this show. I've been trying to find a way to connect to you. I need you on this show here to talk cornhole, because I think he's one guy that would have like a million stories to talk about, because like you said, that was the first time I heard him actually commentating, was at the Cornhole Mania. You usually just see him marking the score, or you can hear him in the back if there's a blind draw going. He was announcing all the games where people should be going. But he's a guy that's just. I've only met him that one weekend a couple of years ago, but he's I consider him a friend always. But yeah, so anything else that you guys kind of want to say about what's maybe, I know you've got that tournament coming up here this weekend, but anything else which you have kind of in the works for cornhole in Australia?
So it's just where I guess one of the main goals is just getting that league structure set up and growing the game. We're getting very close to kind of being able to import and have quite a high number of boards and bags available through our website. So I think once we kind of get our ducks in a row there, we'll be able to kind of really push on. I mean, it might be a bit ambitious, but I'd like to have between 5 and 10 leagues running in Sydney by the end of the year. If we could double or triple that by the end of the next year, that'd be awesome. I think once we can kind of nail the structure and get the first few running, it will just grow. But yeah, we're just really excited to keep growing the game, and hopefully, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the Olympics and Olympic cornhole in maybe kind of 4 to 8 years time. So who knows? We could be running the Olympic trials for Australia in 8 years time.
Ben and I will be the Jamaican bobsled team of the cornhole world. I don't know if you've ever seen Cool Runnings, CornDoug.
Yeah.
But we when I say when it was first pitched to me that cornhole would eventually be an Olympic sport, I kind of almost scoffed a little bit. But having played the game and just seeing how rapidly the game is growing. Yeah, it's no joke. Like that will be a thing. It's just a matter of time now. So, yeah, we want to really give Australians the opportunity to represent their country, but also just a new way to have a good time and not have to take things. So you can take it as seriously or not as you want, right? So we're just looking forward to having some fun, having an excuse to throw bags, maybe have an excuse to fly over for the world tournament and just catch up with all you guys in person, right?
Well, like you said, if you're going to be the Jamaican bobsled team of cornhole, you're going to have to come here in the dead of winter then.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you'd be ready for that. But then also when you're talking Olympics,
yeah.
when you're talking the Olympics, you have to make sure that they're going to allow the performance enhancing beverages to be allowed to do that. So it's
exactly. It's Popeye with his spinach. We need to bring a case of Victoria Bitter over from Australia, the Australia's favourite beer. See if we can get that in the country.
Well, exactly, yeah. So you know what, I want to thank you guys for doing this here, for coming on, talking, and I know that I'd love to have you guys back on the show, maybe in a couple of months, see kind of where you're at, what you're doing, and just seeing how far you've grown the game in Australia.
Thanks so much.
That would be awesome. Thanks for having us on, Doug.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, and for everyone else, remember, we've still got the contest hasn't started yet. As soon as we get to that 200 subscribers, we'll be giving away a set of Octane bags, and as Ben said last week, a set of the Scorholio bags as well. I think we're still about another 20 subscribers on YouTube away from that. So if we can get that, that would be great. We can get those bags out to some people. So remember to like this, show, hit that thumbs up down below, hit the subscribe, and then the bell to let you know whenever we put a new video up. And you'll be able to check out Ben and Daniel will put the link to their website and their Instagram account down in the description of the show, so you can check them out. And until next week, make sure you're watching out for those players throwing gas, because they might just be kicking your ass.